Welcome back to the Social Media Millionaire Podcast. This is episode 8. In this episode, me and Kendra, we're going to be talking about our formula behind creating consistent $50,000 sales days in your business.
So this is something that we've really got down. I remember the first time we had a 50K sales day and it was like, wow, that's insane. We did in a day what we used to do in a month. Like, that's crazy. And now we're like, oh, cool. Should have done more than that. I'm like, oh, that wasn't good.
Of course. Yeah. And here's the thing is like when you start having like really big sales days, no matter what, when you're breaking through that next level, it's really important not to beat yourself up because you'll hit a couple of really big sales days or really big sales months. And then you can go back down to a slightly higher average or kind of what your previous average was. It's like you're halfway leveled up. Like you have the capabilities to do bigger and better things than you currently are, but you haven't like fine-tuned and like dialed in all of your systems to like fully level up to that next level in your business.
Yeah. It's same with business owners that'll hit like their first 50K month, but then they go back down and like their average is like 10K. And they're like, how did I do that? That's the biggest thing is being able to repeat your success. It's all well and good to do it once, but it's a totally different ballgame to actually have a repeatable process where you can do it again and again and you know you can do it again, and then you have to get to that place where you know you can do it again to then be able to improve upon it.
And there's the old adage of putting like the cart before the horse. And a lot of people, they'll build out all their systems almost a little bit too much without getting clients. And then some people get lucky, they'll make a TikTok and it'll go viral and they'll have too many sales and not enough systems to like handle all their clients. So no matter what, you're putting the cart before the horse. What's important to remember is you have to keep trying and you have to reapply and you have to like hone in those skills of what enabled you to do that in the first place.
Yeah, we were definitely there in the beginning where like content was exploding and we were getting all these inquiries and applications and I literally didn't know what to do with them. I created a Google sheet to track them after I'd already made a couple sales.
Yeah, I had a whole Excel sheet tracking DMs and stuff, kind of like trying to make a CRM out of it.
That was a mess.
Not a very good one.
So we're going to unpack the formula behind our repetitive 50K sales days. And I think this is a really good episode for us because I think a lot of people in the online space, they'll hit a number once and then try to sell it like they do that all the time. People will sell this is how I did 100K in 17 minutes. And it's like, okay, you did that once, but then they use it as a selling point for their program. They don't know even how they did that. They can't repeat that. So we're at the place where now we're like, oh, 50K isn't that great. So we can definitely replicate that. We can definitely teach other people how to do it. So the formula behind our 50K sales days, there's really 3 components that I would say credit this. Number 1 is our marketing and the way that we speak to different types of buyers, which we'll unpack more in a minute. Number 2 is our Instagram stories and transparency content, because that's the final touch point usually on my social media before somebody converts into a customer. And then there's our scalable offer types that we have. So let's start with marketing. That's an easy place to start.
Well, it at least seems like it's an easy place to start, but it's the foundation. So when it comes to like driving sales in any business, especially in like online service-based businesses, you have to have lead flow. And what's interesting, so if you're doing e-commerce, you have to have traffic. Traffic's important. But with like service-based or like bigger ticket items or like real estate, you have to have lead flows. You have to convert that traffic into a lead, which is a person or a business that is looking to buy from you. That is like in your sales funnel, your sales process. And that all comes from the content you're creating. It comes from who you're speaking to and how your sales funnel looks like. What is your landing page? Where does that link in your bio? Where does it actually go? What is the process that they are going to go from seeing your content to saying, I want to do business with this person. Sign me up.
And it's fascinating because often when we're onboarding new clients, specifically clients that are in that 10 to 20K per month space, one of the questions that I ask when we do our audit is, if I were to inquire to work with you tomorrow, if I were to sign up to work with you, what does that process look like? Or if I were to find you on social media, what are the steps I would have to go through to become a client? And I'm not throwing shade, but the amount of people that have answered that question with some variation of, well, you would pay and sign a contract. No. How do I go from finding you to becoming a client? Not just your sales process.
Well, and if that's your entire sales process, it didn't even include onboarding or anything like that.
Right. And so it's like not just how do I sign up and pay you? How do I go from discovery to client? And so many people cannot answer that question. Now, for a very broad very oversimplified view of what this looks like for us, people go from discovery, finding us on an outreach platform, to our nurturing platform, which is usually Instagram, into some sort of funnel.
And what I love to do, kind of start with our outreach platforms, that's really our top of funnel. I love to draw this out. You can do it in Canva, you can get a piece of paper, you can get out your iPad, just start drawing it out. Draw the top of your funnel. How do people find you? If you're doing organic content marketing, that's going to be on TikTok, that's going to be on Instagram, that's going to be on YouTube, that's going to be on Pinterest, that's going to be on your Google SEO. It's going to be on all of that. And then down from there, the next phase of your funnel is going to be the landing page, your nurturing platform. So like if you have a community that they join, if you have Instagram, if you have other stuff like that, that's how you reach out to them and continue to build that connection. And then down from there is going to be your landing pages and the rest of your funnel going all the way down to where they purchase either in a cart or however that is. But you can just draw out the entire process, and it makes it a lot more clear and makes it a lot easier to understand what you have to build out and what you have to do to drive leads and then sales into your business.
And so for a lot of people, it is really helpful to see it visually like that, to see the, I guess, transformation from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, like Soren said. And beyond just what platforms are they going to, then you can really hone in. And that's where we get into the sales psychology. That's where I like to really hit home and make sure that people are speaking to the 4 different buyer types and really selling to people the way they need to be sold to, so that that funnel can happen, right? Because there has to be a driving force that is going to push people from, the start of your funnel to the end of your funnel. So that driving force, that's the sales psychology. That's the nurturing content. That's the connection pieces within your brand. So when somebody initially finds you on TikTok, that's your very first touch point. And so you want to establish a connection with them within that very first video, which is why we teach the structure of content that we teach. Not only is it repeatable and easy for almost anyone to create, but you're creating a space for an aha moment to happen. And that's doing a bunch of things, but essentially you're providing clarity for someone that didn't have it before, right? And so when someone gets an aha moment from your video in that very first piece of content that they interact with from you, instant follow. They're binging your content. They're scrolling through all of your videos. And what's happening as they're binging your content that's infused with sales psychology? They want more of it. They're getting a dopamine hit. They want to be deeper into your world, which is what is going to bring them then to most likely your Instagram, your nurturing platform. Once you've brought them to your nurturing platform, you're still going to want to be doing those things that you did on your outreach platform, right? Speaking to the 4 different types of buyers and nurturing people the way that they need to be nurtured, and creating agitational content that's really going to push people to take action, right?
Well, and I think you touched on a very specific point there, that you have to have call to actions or CTAs a lot more prevalent on your nurturing platforms. And it's something that a lot of people forget to do. There's 2 things that happen. They either only do the CTA, which isn't good, or they just do like the nurturing part, like they're talking about client results, they're using examples, they're promoting their product, but then they do no CTA. And you have to do both. And when you do a CTA, you gotta make that CTA easy. If it's an Instagram story, there better be a link I can tap. If I can't tap a link, like I'm gonna try and remember the URL you typed in there and go put it into a browser and not find the promotion you're talking about. So make it easy. And if you're smart, this is where, the analytics comes into it that I'm really big on. You have a customized link through, for example, Bitly, where you can put it in that and measure that campaign that you're doing, that promotion in your stories on that nurturing platform like Instagram. And you can measure how many people hit that link click. And you can see how effective your stories are and how effective your funnel is.
It's a really easy way to track, your average conversion rate too. If you have 1,000 people that view your story and you have 3 people that click on your link, that might be some indication to you that your call to action isn't working, that your nurturing isn't effective, that you're not actually illuminating that gap well enough to push people to take action, to truly be activated. The other thing going along with call to actions is that I see so many people do it incorrectly, particularly on TikTok. If someone feels like they're being sold to, you've lost them immediately on TikTok. TikTok. You can get away with it on Instagram because the users are used to being talked to in a certain way and sold to in a certain way. But if someone feels like you are trying to sell them something on TikTok, immediate scroll. You've lost them already. So these call to actions where people are like, follow for more, hit the link in my bio for details about how we can work together. Those don't work. No one cares. I don't want to click the link in your bio because I don't want to work with you because you haven't done anything to make me want to work with you.
And even just flipping that just a little bit, for example, saying, this is what I do with my clients XYZ. That's a lot better than people know where to go to look. They know where the link in your bio is. Telling them that is like telling a child how to turn on the TV. They know how to do it. They watch cartoons all day. It doesn't get you the end result that you want. It just makes your kid mad at you.
Right. It's just annoying. And so exactly what Soren says, those subliminal call to actions are the absolute most powerful because then it's their idea. Your audience, your viewer feels empowered in their decision. It's not you telling them to go do something. It's not you pinky promising them that you can achieve a result for them, right? We all know that that type of selling really does not work anymore. But if I can say in a video, this is how I took my client from making $2K per month to $70K per month, that subliminally planted the seed in your head that number one, I work with clients. So I didn't have to tell you to go click the link in my bio to see how we could work together, right? You already know that we could work together because of how I phrased that video. Number two, I didn't have to pinky promise you that I could provide results for you and that it would be oh so great. I've already subliminally planted that seed because if I've done it for one person, I can do it for others. So instead of the question being, is this person legitimate? Can they help me? Do they work with clients? Is there even a way to work with them? It's suddenly, is this right fit for me? Will that work for me? Do I see myself in their content? Is this aligned with where I'm going? Right? The questions are different. You break through that surface level discovery immediately just by using a different type of hook and dropping these things subliminally into your content. Another way you can do it really, really seamlessly. If you're talking about something and sharing an idea, it's really easy to say, something I talk about all the time in our membership is insert whatever thing you were going to say already. A really great conversation I had with a client earlier, and we talked about blah, blah, blah. I just got off of a really great coaching call. So again, you're subliminally planting those seeds. People know that you take clients. People know that you can work together. People know now that you have a group coaching program. People know that you have a membership. Nowhere did I have to tell you, go sign up for my membership. Go click the link in my bio to see what I do. You already know what I do. And now you're not going to see if there's something that I offer that might be aligned with you. You already know it's aligned with you because I just told you the result that I've gotten for other people. Are those results that you want? Boom, we're already aligned. So within the first, 3 to 5 seconds of you discovering me, I've planted these seeds in your head. I've pulled back the barrier that most people have to, overcome with their content, or especially if you're running ads, huge barrier to overcome. I've already done that. And you've known me for 3 to 5 seconds. Okay. It's very, very powerful. So then once someone actually comes to your nurturing platform like Instagram, again, those seeds have already been planted. They already know that they could work with you. They already know that you have a membership. They already know what types of results you get for clients. So when they go through and they're tapping through your highlights to learn more about your story, all of these things are just icing on the cake because you've already got the bulk of the information that they needed from you out of the way from the very beginning. They're binging your content. You have different types of content. You have agitational content, you have problem aware content, you have solution based content. So you're speaking to all of the 4 different buyer types in the way that they need to be sold to. And then specifically with your Instagram stories, which is very widely known as your hottest leads. They're your most engaged followers. That's just how the algorithm works. The people that are seeing your stories are the people that interact with you, watch your content, and are most engaged with what you're doing. So those are the number 1 people that you should be talking to and selling to and having conversations with and building connections with and building relationships with. And so bringing what I coined as transparency content into your Instagram stories, you're able to leverage your social proof and leverage your testimonials in a way that doesn't come across like you are trying to prove yourself, in a way that doesn't come across like your testimonial posting is coming from a place of insecurity. Because that's what a lot of people see when you're just blasting out social proof and and testimonials with no context at all, we don't know where those people started. We don't know their story. We don't know what the transformation was. We don't know what you actually did for them. We don't know if we could see ourselves in their story, if they had similar struggles to what we did, right? We don't know any of those things. We just see that you're going, look how great I am. Look how great I am. Look how good I did. Look, I got these results for clients. And so again, it just really comes across like you're trying to prove yourself, prove that you're able to provide results. And when you pair those testimonials and pair that social proof instead with the transparency content, where you're always providing context, you're using every single screenshot or piece of social proof as a way for you to really pull back the curtain between what they're seeing on social media and what's happening behind the scenes. So, for example, if somebody tells me about a win that they had in their business, I'm never going to just post that screenshot and be like, look at this exciting win. I'm going to post the screenshot and unpack where they started, what they were struggling with, how long have we been working together, what have we worked on together, what are the biggest shifts that we made, what were they able to overcome, and then you have that social proof to back that up. And what's even more powerful is if you can then take that social proof and take that breakdown where you uncover what you did with that client and pair it with some sort of documentation where people can not only see the breakdown of what you did for that client, but also see tangibly what that looked like. So you uncover what you did with a client, and then maybe your next slide is time-lapse video of you on a coaching call, right? Those things really fill out the picture for people and showcase not only what you can do and what your results are, but also what that process could look like, which allows people to see themselves inside of your program.
They'll imagine having the results that your clients are getting. They'll imagine working with you.
They'll imagine being on that phone call.
And that's what that content does. It's so incredibly important. You can't really stress enough how important it is to do that, because that is what gives your CTA power. Because then when you say, hey, DM me now, or get started, or whatever, you're doing for that campaign, it gives it so much more power and so much more meaning when they do send that DM, because now they're involved in the story and they've imagined themselves having their own story as well.
I mean, any sales book will tell you that you have to get to the root of somebody's current reality, and then you have to get them to imagine themselves in that space and taking that action. That's the reason why real estate agents hire designers to come stage a home before an open house, is so that when you walk in, it's not an empty house. You can see yourself living there. You can imagine what it would be like to live in that house. It's the exact same thing that you're doing with your content. When you bring this transparency content and you pair it with social proof, what you're doing is you're staging that house for them. You're showcasing what it would actually be like to work with you. And so you are really tapping into one of the principles of sales psychology, which is loss aversion, right? This goes into so many different ways and so many different ways that you can leverage this. But one of those ways is in making people feel really, really secure in their decision and making the purchase decision as least painful as possible. And so by showcasing what they stand to gain and then making it super, super easy to make that decision because they've already pictured themselves in that space, it's really less of a leap. So all of the different things that normally someone would tell you to do potentially on a sales call or in a sales conversation, right? You're already doing all of those things with your content. So you are moving someone through all of the different buying stages, all of the different phases that they're going through mentally as they're deciding and going from noticing you to actually deciding to work with you. You're moving them through all of those stages with your content rather than having to do it in a sales conversation or a call. And that is how you attract people that are, one, not only super aligned, but people that are willing to pay high ticket, people that are super committed, people that are already sold on you, people that aren't asking for guarantees on a sales call, people that aren't spending 2.5 hours on a sales call trying to make a decision, right? You're able to close people in the DMs. You're able to have multiple sales come through in a day, high ticket sales, because you've already done the objection handling in your content. You've already moved people through the sales process. And so for you to close 2 or 3 high ticket sales in a day, to have these 50K sales days, it's no big deal because it's already been built into your content and you're able to do it consistently.
Lastly, to handle all of this, because at this point I think we've probably lost about, we'll just say over $1 million in sales. You need to make sure you have your systems lined out. And what does that mean? You need to have a good CRM. It could be Pipedrive, it could be Monday, it could be Salesforce. I always suggest having the CRM for the size of your business. So the easier it is to set up and the easier it is to work, the better. We started out with a Google Sheet, then an Excel sheet, and then we used Airtable. And then from Airtable, we went to Pipedrive. And now we're building out this really complex, comprehensive, all-in-one solution with Salesforce to serve our needs as we continue to grow. So realize the size of your business. I always recommend using the simplest, easy to implement one. But what's important is making sure it's up to date, because what is easier than to lose a message in your DMs, especially like if you have like 20, 30,000 followers and you have several thousand people active on your Instagram. It is easy to lose a DM and lose that lead. Really easy to forget, really easy to, type up a message, not hit respond. So making sure that you have those people in your CRM, making sure that you learn how to, identify the difference between a lead and like an opportunity and mark those correctly in your CRM, and being sure to set up the proper automations either with Zapier or within the CRM itself or however you do it to remind yourself to follow up. This will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars and it will make you hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing this properly and being organized.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's over $1 million that we've lost, would you say?
I said at least. So yeah, it's probably over. It depends, simply because there's a couple of ways you can look at it, from, having a lower close rate than you really should on your deals, and also just from deals not making it into the CRM.
Yeah, tracking and making sure that you're actually keeping up with all of the leads that you receive is a huge, huge, huge factor in creating these consistent, huge number sales days, because you're not going to have big sales days just from all new people finding you, right? They're going to come from people that you've been nurturing, chatting with, having conversations with. And that's how you keep things really consistent in your business, because one, yes, you are always bringing new people in. But number two, you have people in your pipeline that you're nurturing, that you're following up with, that you're creating connections with, you're re-signing clients.
That's the other thing that like a really well built out CRM does, is it allows you to, re-sign clients or sign them into different products if you have a progressive offer suite, and it allows you to increase the LTV if you're a customer quite significantly. The other thing that you touched on, and it's a mistake that I think we made that I regret as well, is we had a very much cut and dry, kind of like sign them or don't policy for a really long time. And that was just it was a symptom of other issues that we were having in our business as well.
Yeah, we just didn't have, which we'll talk more about it in a minute, but we just didn't have the systems to facilitate the delivery. And so it was you're either in or you're out, because if we were following up with people, we would have had too many people, and we already had too many people. So it was you're in or you're out, and you'll never hear from us again, because simply we can't deliver to more clients.
Yeah, we want to deliver really good results as well. And we, like Kendra said, we didn't have the systems in place. But what I wanted to really hit on there is that excluded about a type and a half of buyer types from doing business with us, at least. And I mean, that definitely attributes to lost revenue. And when you're working so hard on social media to drive these leads for your business, that is one thing that you don't want to do. You don't want to lose out on revenue. So with that in mind, you have to be aware, and that some people, it will take time for them to become clients. Now, again, there's some clients that can be a red flag for, but there's buyer types like analytical buyers. It can take them time. They need to process it in their brains, and they need to weigh the outcomes.
Soren's a very analytical buyer, if you guys wanted to know. He's give me all the details, give me the estimated ROI. I'm dude, it's a flower pot. What do you mean? The driver buyer in me just wants the outcome.
Well, you see, I'm going to plant tulips in there, then I'm going to harvest the seeds and resell half of them on Craigslist, and it'll pay for the plot plus 2 more pots.
I'm just let me buy it. Why are you asking so many questions?
Yeah, it's funny. We've talked about this a little bit before. I go back and forth from either being a driver buyer to an analytical buyer, and sometimes somewhere in between. It depends. Like I said, it depends. If it's convenient and it makes sense, I'm very much a driver buyer. I buy for results. And it also depends, because a lot of those times, if it's with a company or for a product or a brand, or if we're working with someone that I like, they have a good reputation, 100% driver buyer, because I have that trust there.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that you get more in depth with it. We don't talk as much about publicly, but people tend to have multiple different buyer types within them. They're just tend to have a dominant one. Anyway, we're going off on a tangent. So tracking leads, very important. Tracking your leads in your DMs, very, very, very important. Even keeping track of the people that watch your stories on a consistent basis. We're not going to go fully in depth of everything that we think that you should track in this episode, but there are so many different lead flow sources that you should be tracking that most people would never even think of.
Yeah, and what I will say though is in the beginning, you should really focus on one lead generation channel to get good at. Because if you're trying to do them all at once, it can be hurtful. And that's not to say, and I'm not saying you shouldn't like post on every platform if you're doing organic content marketing, because that's like more than one lead channel. No, what I'm saying is like, for example, if you're going to focus on closing people or signing people up using Instagram DMs, you should really like get good at that one specific way to do that. If you want to, get people to hit the link in your bio and join your email campaign or your newsletter, you should get really good at generating revenue from email campaigns. It doesn't really matter what you do. You just need to do it and get really good at that. And once you're really good at that, you can start adding in the other one or another one.
I'm really glad you brought that up because so many people, coaches specific, I'll just call them out. There's so many gurus and coaches in the space, specifically business coaches. And I have a whole other axe to grind with business coaches, but we're not going to go there today. But so many of them will tell you, focus on just one platform. You're going to get burnt out. There's no way you can be omnipresent and have a sustainable business that you love.
Let me tell you what, posting on multiple platforms is by far easier than having like multiple like 6-figure monthly plus lead channels.
Yeah, I just don't understand that. If you're repurposing content correctly, and if you have like an annual or even a quarterly content plan, it's not hard to post on it's not that deep. It takes like maybe 30 seconds per platform. And that's if you're doing it manually. I mean, come on.
The biggest argument you can make, because titles on videos don't matter on Reels and they don't matter really on TikToks. The biggest thing is YouTube Shorts. Titles do matter.
You barely even have to come up with hashtags.
You do chat GBTs for the titles on your videos so you get the best copy for your shorts. And anyways, and you're just reposting all the same content, and like you can make the argument that like certain content will not perform as well on other platforms.
But why though? Like if it taps into sales psych, like people are still people on every platform. Like why wouldn't it perform?
It definitely can. People are still people, but you have to acknowledge like a video that's going to go viral on TikTok might not go viral like if you post it on LinkedIn.
Of course you drew the comparison between those two platforms. I thought you were going to talk about like Instagram or like any other platform and you're like LinkedIn.
But I mean, for example, but that's a very obvious conclusion that you can draw. You've had videos that have gotten more views on your Instagram Reels than they do on TikTok. So like all platforms, your audiences and their algorithms, they all work a little bit differently. They're all going for like ultimate watch time because that's what makes their brand, their companies valuable. And the base psychology is there. But if you're posting videos, you have a chance to go viral. If you're posting nothing, you have zero chance. And I'm going to butcher the name here, but it's repurpose.io. If you're posting on TikTok, you can literally repurpose to like every other platform like that. Super easy.
Yeah, it's not that deep. It pisses me off. I'm like, why are you telling people to focus on one platform? It doesn't take that long. What takes a long time is like planning the content and getting good at filming the content. Repurposing and posting on multiple platforms takes like 30 seconds out of your day. Like, get it together. Come on.
Well, and if you want to get really specific to create like specific content for each platform.
Yeah, that's going to take you more time, but like, why would you do that?
It's going to take you more time, but you build a team for that. You get a team of editors.
Like, no one's telling you to do that in the beginning.
Change your content that you film just a little. Anyways. And well, yeah, and you don't have to do that in the beginning. You're talking about.
We're triggered.
Look, you can film content and you can put that content on all the platforms and it can be a Toyota Corolla of content. It will get you from point A to point B and it will be reliable.
If you want to create Ashton Martin content for every platform, that's going to take you more time.
You're fine-tuning all of your content for each of the platforms. And like you can look at Gary Vee, he's massive. He does that with some of his content, and some of his content is the same content on every single platform. How do I know this? Because I stalk the guy. I have a man crush on Gary Vee. I will admit it. Just a little one. I'll be honest about it. But like some of his content is the same, but he also has a whole full team of dudes doing it, which isn't realistic for a small person. Or even if you have like a team of 10 people in your business and you're doing like $1 million or $2 million, it's not always realistic to do that. But you don't need to do that.
Which falls right in line with the whole post 7 million times a day and you'll blow up. Yeah, of course you will. Something's bound to go viral. You'll eventually look stupid enough in one of your videos that people start sharing it and you turn into a meme. Like, that's not a strategy.
The only thing I have to say about quantity is you got to do the quantity to get the quality, but you don't need to burn yourself out. And even if you were to do, if you just average one video a day, which most people don't do in their businesses.
No, most people don't even do that.
Which it's really easy to sit down once a week for 2 hours.
And film 6 videos. Which, if it takes you 2 hours, also, you suck. It shouldn't take that long, but that's like a whole other problem.
The thing is by creating those videos, over time, you do get the quantity and you do get better. If you want to speed that process up, if you're Mr. Marine nut job that can just go hard 24/7 and you're going to create 10 videos a day because you want to, cut down your learning curve, great. That's good for you. But that's not necessary. You can do your one video a day and over time you will get better. And if you're playing the long game and not burning yourself out, that is one of the smartest things you can do.
And so many people are like, I'm going to blow up on TikTok. And they'll post like 5 times a day for like maybe a week. And then they're like, oh, it didn't go anywhere. And then they give up.
Well, and they'll get their 10,000 followers because or sometimes they'll get their 10,000 followers because 70 videos, like the algorithm will throw one out. You'll get 100,000 views and a couple thousand followers. And then all of your videos go back to like 200 views a video and you don't have the determination to go on because you're a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, no, exactly. Consistency is key, but we've gone so far off the rails with this. Let's bring it back to the last thing, which is actually having a scalable offer type. So this is something that we ran into in the beginning that is not helpful if you want to have high cash sales days, right? If you can only take 3 to 5 clients per month, you're probably not going to have super high cash sales days. You're probably going to be capped around 10K per month and that's it. So how do you take your offers and make them scalable? So really 2 ways to do this. One, if you're a service provider, you're going to have to systematize, automate, and outsource. If you are a coach, mentor, anything in that space, it's a lot easier to do one-to-many offers if you provide any type of education, right? That being said, it's harder to scale in the long run because even though you can take on more clients yourself than you could as a service provider, it's going to be harder for you to scale because people want you. People want your time. People want your expertise. So it's going to be a transition for sure. So I would argue that scaling a service-based business is easier than scaling a coaching business, but that's also not the point of this podcast.
The thing is, if you're going to start a coaching business, I just say you have to do that. You have to do it with the long run that when it does blow up, not if, when, you have to look at it really as an education business. And you have to have your personal brand, but you also have to build a business brand alongside of that represents your personal brand. And that's how you avoid a lot of headache.
Absolutely. If you don't do that, then it's a rough transition, but it can be done. Anyway, so scalable offer types. If you're in the education side of things, super easy to create a membership. Very, very simple. Take 15% of what would normally be in your offer suite. Go back, listen to our episode all about memberships. Very easy, very scalable offer to launch because if you have good automations, you have good systems, whether you have 10 people in your membership or 1 million people in your membership, it's about the same amount of work. It's about the same amount of time that you're going to spend every month. So very, very scalable. Group programs or hybrid with different bump offers and upsells and back-end offers is a huge, huge thing. So many people are very tempted to come up with 1,000,001 offers that solve 1,000,001 problems and try to sell all of those to your audience. You are going to make more money if you only publicly sell 1 or 2 things because confusion is the #1 conversion killer, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to create content, to have a good sales funnel, to drive traffic to all those different offers on the front end. So it's much easier to have back pocket offers, things that you can push people into if they're a better fit when you have a conversation with them. But that's my 2 cents around that. And so going back to what Soren said before we went off on our tangent, 100% focus on one lead flow source, not necessarily picking a platform, picking Instagram or TikTok. That's not what we're talking about. Get really good at selling the DMs, or get really good at doing sales calls, or get really good at creating email marketing campaigns that actually convert into sales. Get really good at one of those types of lead flow sources and make it repeatable. Figure out how to do it better, faster, refine it. And then you can start bringing in multiple lead flow sources that's going to make these consistent high cash days super consistent and repeatable. And it goes back to what we said in the beginning. Often you'll have a really high cash sales day or month that just comes out of nowhere. And so the key is being able to repeat that process and then figure out how you can repeat that same result in multiple different ways. So how could you make 50K in one day from your Instagram story, from selling in DMs? How could you make another 50K that same day from your emails? How could you make another 50K that same day from sales calls or having a sales team, right?
Well, and you can apply this to same day, same week, same month.
Exactly.
Don't beat yourself up if you're not making 50K a day from your emails and 50K a day from your Instagram. I mean, it's something you can like work towards, and it's something like we're still working towards with all of those different lead sources.
But we got to a point where we have a consistent amount of sales from every single source, and then we're able to refine them as we go. We know that we can create X amount of sales from Instagram stories. So we refine it, we make it better, and then we bring in new lead flow sources.
One of the things that I've noticed, social media is amazing, but if you look at the last 10 to 15 years of social media, there have been a lot of businesses that have exploded from it. But what you have to realize is social media is the starting line, and there is no finish line. And sometimes the races for social media, there are finish lines, like with MySpace. For example, or when Facebook ad rates go through the roof. You have to realize that one of the best ways to continue to market people is through personal contact information, aka emails and phone numbers. And you also have to gather multiple ways you can market to your people. That way you have diversification. So you have, stuff coming in from social media, you have stuff coming in from your email marketing. If you do ad spend, you have stuff coming in from ad spend, wherever it's coming in from. You have your different lead sources and you're diversified. That way, if anything happens to one, if privacy laws crack down on email marketing, or if a social media company changes their algorithm and your views go down, or XYZ happens, your business isn't pure because you have multiple lead sources coming into it and you're driving sales from that.
Amen.
And we've had so many clients come to us that had happened to them with,
oh, their TikTok got banned, or they got kicked off of Instagram, or
they suddenly didn't get any more leads for months from their Instagram, or it happens and you just have to be prepared for it. How do you prepare for it? Diversification.
And having repeatable processes that you can apply to multiple platforms. So, I mean, there's so much more in depth we could go with each of those points, but that's really a good overview of what generates these consistent 50K sales days in our business and how you can start generating that in your own business, the key things that you really want to focus on. So, if you want to see some of these things in action, be sure to head over to Instagram at kenda.laney. Soren.laney, super creative with these usernames over there.
No, we're consistent, remember?
We're consistent. You can also find us on TikTok and YouTube. Just my name, Kenda Laney on YouTube. So thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to rate the podcast. Leave us a review as well.
A nice one, please. Preferably. If you don't like the podcast, just send me an angry DM. Don't review it.
Tell us what we can do better, and we will make that happen for you. We live to serve.
Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.